you please put your hands together for Kristen Martin.
I was waiting outside a restaurant for my first date with Rob from OkCupid. Now, I'd been on OkCupid for a few years, so this was a pretty typical situation, except for one thing, which was I was determined to fuck him that night. And fucking on the first date was something I did not do. I was a romantic. I was a relationship person, and it just seemed kind of uncouth to do that. But at this time, I had just gotten out of a really horrible breakup, and and I was almost starting to get soured on relationships. I was just totally stressed out about all of them, and I felt like I'd had so many failed relationships that I just didn't want to go down that road again. So I was looking for something a little different, and I thought, what if I just went out with this guy, and I just had sex with him that night, just for funsies. So Rob showed up, and right away I was unattracted to him. He was just shorter than I thought, and he was a little bit scrawny, so I was just a little bit disappointed, but I had a plan, and I was not abandoning the plan. So we had dinner. I turned on the flirtation a little bit. I was wearing a low-cut shirt. I was, leaning forward on the table, showing him what I got, and it didn't take much. He was totally lapping it up, so I knew pretty quickly that I was gonna get him in bed, and so at the end of the night, indeed, he invited me up to his apartment, which was just around the corner from where we were. He's like, "Why don't you come up and watch the sunset with me?" I'm like, "Okay, it's on." So we went up to his place. I think we had a glass of wine, sitting on the couch looking at the view. He starts inching closer, and after a little bit, he asks if he can kiss me. And I paused right then because I thought, I had this moral instinct kicking in. I'm like, "Ooh, I don't know if I should go forward with this because I don't want a relationship with him. I don't know if I should do anything." And just my whole history of being kind of having these lofty ideals for relationships and just placing a lot of importance on sex and being such a romantic, that was all kind of bubbling up in me, and I wasn't quite sure what to do. So I said, before I just stop right there, just so you know, I'm only looking for something physical right now. Maybe that was a little bit of a trap because he was right there, and I just asked him at the vulnerable time, but he said, "Yeah, that's fine." So cool. I let him kiss me, and I let him lead me over to the bed, and we started getting horizontal and getting hot and heavy, and he's like, "Do you want to do this?" And then I can't talk about sex. I can't say what I want to somebody, so I just kind of nodded and said yes. And so we did it, and he was having a good time. It was okay. It was just maybe a little bit more mechanical than I had expected, but like I said, I really liked seeing him enjoy himself, and I swear to you, at one point, he said, "Good God, woman," like in a good way, like, "Oh my God, whoa," like, cool, I must be doing something really good. So I felt kind of empowered, actually, by the whole thing. I mean, it was a double-edged sword, both empowered and scared, At the end of the night, he just walked me down to the bus stop, and I went home, and I was just kind of reeling from the whole thing, like, what did I just do? Did I do something dirty? Ooh, I feel kind of dirty. So I slept on it. I texted my friend the next morning and told her what I did, and she called me a foxy lady. So I'm like, all right, this is good. I mean, like I said, it was okay, sex, but I thought maybe this was like a way to get in touch with my sexuality and kind of an empowering thing. So I embarked on this friends with benefits relationship with this guy. We'd get together once a week, and we'd always have a beer or chat or something, and then we'd always end up having sex. And it never got super fun for me. I was kind of hoping that I would get comfortable with it. I was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, we're doing this again. He was a very nice guy. We got along well and everything. But after several months, I just ended up having to put a stop to it. Yeah. I was trying to get comfortable with it. So I eventually had to tell him that I wasn't really into doing that anymore, but if he ever wanted to hang out just as a friend without doing that, I'd be down for it. And as you might expect, he didn't really want to do that. I was a little disappointed. So one might look at this as a failed experiment. I did not. I continued with this experimentation. And I bypassed OkCupid for my next round, and I went straight to Craigslist Casual Encounters. Which I'd always thought was kind of a seedy place, and it's true, you have to browse through a lot of seedy stuff to get to anybody who sounds normal. And I actually went ahead and posted a couple ads myself, and I took great pains to say, I am just a normal girl, I just, here's the stuff that I like, and here's some things about me, and oh yeah, I want to have some sex. And I would, screen the replies very carefully, make sure it sounded like somebody I could kind of talk to and get along with. So I did meet several people through my Craigslist ads, and we would have a drink and talk, and I would see if they were somebody I had something in common with and kind of a good person, which you may not think is good criteria necessarily for just getting laid, but that's kind of what I was looking for still. So I ended up taking a few of them to bed just kind of for one-night stands, and those were fun, and I liked that they were just one night because I didn't have to worry about whether I was attracted to them or having to break off a long relationship or like a friends with benefits relationship or whatever. So I had my one-night stands. And then I met this guy named Daniel. I wasn't sure about him at first. He was kind of goofy, has kind of a weird way about him. But we got to talking and having some drinks, and I realized he was really easy to get along with and kind of made me feel at ease. So eventually we reached that point in the conversation where we had to kind of, we'd covered all the normal topics. What do you do for fun, whatever, where you come from? And we had to get to the sex part because, that's why we were both here. But still, I didn't really know what to say, how to say what I wanted. I had no problem putting on Craigslist, I like to be spanked. And I want somebody to do this for me. But I couldn't say that in person. So I'm not quite sure how we got through that, but he eventually he kind of looked at me while we were driving somewhere, and he's like, "You wanna?" And I'm like, yes, I do. Because he was cute and fun, and so we had sex that night, and it was actually really great. And we started seeing each other like once every week or so. And now this time, I thought I had kind of the perfect situation. I mean, it was somebody I got along with, and I had some sexual chemistry with. So my friends would ask me, what are you doing? How is this different from a real relationship? And I just had to say it's different because it's just kind of lacking that emotional connection. I don't know how to describe it. It's just kind of a physical, part friendly, just kind of casual thing. And I thought, great, I can just get laid and not have to worry about whether we're going to build a relationship because we both know that we're not going to be together that way. So it seemed really easy for a while. But while this was going on, I was still trying to date kind of in the background. I had some OkCupid dates here and there, and I kept having relationships that didn't work out, and I was still getting really, really bummed out by that. And you might think that Daniel would provide me some kind of comfort in that scenario, but I had these times where he would come over to hang out with me, and he was expecting me to be all cheerful and into it, and there were some nights where I just was feeling bummed out for my latest breakup or feeling like I was going to be single forever or whatever, and I just didn't have the heart to have sex with anybody that night. So I'm like, I'm just really not feeling it, and he was very gracious. He would just go home if I wasn't feeling in the mood. And there were some times when I kind of tried to push through the feelings because I thought, this is a good thing for me to sort of liberate my sexuality and kind of explore it as a separate thing from my desire for relationships. So sometimes I would push forward with it when I wasn't really feeling it, and then I would start crying when we were in bed together because I would kind of suddenly realize how empty it felt. I mean, here was somebody who was providing me with sort of a facsimile of intimacy, but it wasn't true intimacy because there wasn't that emotional connection. And I certainly liked having sex with him, and but there was just, that thing that was missing. And I would just, sometimes when we finished, I would just kind of curl up and put my back to him and just start crying. And he would ask what was wrong. I didn't quite know what to say. I was kind of afraid to tell him. I think I was kind of afraid that he would tell me I was taking things too seriously. Like, it's just sex, just relax, don't worry about it, you're not doing anything wrong. And of course, he would never have said that to me, but that's what I was kind of telling myself deep down. I was trying to force myself to, take sex a lot more casually than I ever had before, and to kind of ignore my emotional needs and just go for this physical thing. And obviously that just wasn't working all the time. So partly for that reason, and partly just because life got in the way, Daniel and I went our separate ways eventually. It was about 3 years ago that we were last together. And I've since had some more failed relationships, and I've had a lot more casual encounters. I still pursue it. I still pursue sex with guys who don't want a relationship with me because, honestly, I kind of feel like that false intimacy is just better than nothing at all. I'm taking what I can get. But I haven't quite lost hope that someday I'll find somebody who can give me the emotional side and the physical side.